Every Thanksgiving night, my older niece babysits 8 kids, so my sister can look like a perfect mother, but she always secretly dropped them at my house and left me to watch them until morning. And this year, when we traveled to my husband's family, she left all the kids in my backyard. Anyway, leading me to call the police. And now there's a huge scandal with everyone blaming me instead of her. Every year on Thanksgiving, my sister Melinda drops all 8 of her kids at my house at night, and she tries to act like this perfect mother who does it all. She tells everyone that her oldest, Zoe, is babysitting them. But the truth is, Zoe usually walks them all to my place in the dark, and Melinda disappears for the entire night. I somehow get stuck watching them until morning because Zoe is only 14, and the younger ones are a lot to handle alone. It's been this way for 6 years. I'm 35, married, no kids. I'm not the family doormat, but somehow every holiday I get pushed into being the free babysitter because no one else will deal with Melinda's mess. She has 8 kids with 3 different dads, and she always plays the "I'm overwhelmed" card while also bragging non-stop about how she's raising these perfect siblings who love holiday traditions. Meanwhile, I'm the one changing diapers at 2 a.m. and cleaning up spilled juice at sunrise while she's posting staged pictures online. This year I finally said no. My husband's family wanted us to visit them out of state, and honestly I wanted one Thanksgiving where I wasn't up all night with 8 kids who aren't mine. So a week before Thanksgiving I sent a message to the whole family, clear as possible. We were traveling, no sleepover this year. Don't drop the kids at my house. Melinda responded with her usual attitude, basically pretending she never relies on me anyway. We left early Thanksgiving morning and drove 5 hours. Everything was fine until around 9:30 p.m. when my phone started going off from my backyard cameras. I checked the live feed thinking maybe an animal got in. No, it was all 8 kids standing in my fenced yard in pajamas, carrying bags, shivering. Zoe was trying to keep them together and knocking on my back door. Then the camera caught Melinda's car speeding off like she was late for something. I was nowhere near home. The house was locked. It was dark and cold. My husband immediately said we needed to call the police because the kids were literally abandoned on our property with no adult. I didn't even hesitate. I called the non-emergency line, explained the situation, gave them permission to enter the yard, and stayed on the phone while they checked. The officers tried calling Melinda, and she didn't answer. They had no choice but to take the kids to the station for the night because there was no confirmed babysitter and no adult responsible for them. That's when Melinda suddenly started blowing up my phone. She left about 20 messages in a row about how I overreacted, how I ruined Thanksgiving, how I made her look bad, and that I know we do this every year. She also called me cold, selfish, dramatic, and said I should have just come home, since family comes first. I ignored her because I wasn't going to argue while the police were handling it. By the time the kids were safe, the family group chat was a mess. My mom said I embarrassed the whole family. My aunt claimed I should have found a neighbor to watch the kids since I knew they'd be coming like always. My other sister said I should have at least warned them before calling the police, even though I literally warned them a week before. I honestly don't understand how any of this is supposed to be my responsibility. I was 5 hours away. I told everyone I wouldn't be home. I'm not their parent. I'm not even their backup parent. If I hadn't checked the cameras, those kids could have been sitting in the cold all night. I guess I'm posting here because I genuinely want to know if anyone else thinks I did something wrong. I didn't abandon those kids. I didn't lie. I didn't set anything up. I wasn't even in the same state. Melinda dumped her kids and assumed I'd handle it, like always, and now everyone is acting like I created the chaos on purpose. I'm exhausted just thinking about it, and this probably won't be over anytime soon. But seriously, what was I supposed to do? Teleport home? Break into my own house from 5 hours away? Pretend it didn't happen? I'm so done. Update 1. Thanksgiving has been worse than the actual night itself. I thought once people saw the police report and the camera footage, they'd at least understand why I did what I did. Instead, it has turned into a whole family spectacle, and I'm apparently the Grinch of the year. CPS showed up at my sister Melinda's house the morning after Thanksgiving. I didn't even know until Zoe texted me from her friend's phone. They talked to all the kids separately, the boyfriend, and then Melinda. From what Zoe told me, they weren't buying anything Melinda was trying to sell. The kids told them exactly what happened. They admitted this has been going on for years and that Thanksgiving sleepovers were never at my house by invitation. It was her dropping them off and disappearing. They also asked about school, meals, medical stuff. The night she left them with Zoe for hours, all of it. Zoe said she finally felt like someone actually believed her. Melinda tried telling CPS she thought we were home and that I secretly agreed to watch them anyway. She said she saw my car earlier that day, which is physically impossible since we were 5 hours away, and left the driveway empty. She claimed the kids wanted to camp in my backyard and that she was coming right back. None of that matched the footage or what the kids said. CPS didn't argue with her, but the way Zoe described it, they didn't seem convinced by anything she said. By that afternoon, the whole family was in meltdown. My mom called me crying, saying I humiliated Melinda and overreacted. My aunt backed her up, saying you never involve police with family. They ignored the fact that 8 kids were standing in the cold in pajamas at night with no adult anywhere. They also ignored that I gave everyone a full week's notice that I would not be in town and would not be doing the usual sleepover. Somehow they have rewritten it as me abandoning the kids when I wasn't even in the same state. My husband's family has been the only calm group through this. They saw the alerts coming through on our phones the moment it happened and were the ones telling me I needed to call the police. They're frustrated watching my family twist everything, and honestly, I don't blame them for keeping their distance. The family group chat has been non-stop arguments. 2 of my cousins chimed in saying they've seen Melinda disappear during holidays before. One of my nephews, older teen, said he's had to watch the kids for her too. Every time someone brings up something real, my mother shuts it down and says we're ganging up on Melinda. It's like she refuses to acknowledge anything unless it paints Melinda as a tired mother doing her best. She keeps repeating that phrase like it magically erases what actually happened. Later that night, Zoe messaged me privately. She said she was relieved someone finally stepped in. She admitted she'd been wanting CPS involved for months, but couldn't start anything without risking punishment from her mom. She said she's been having panic attacks from trying to take care of all the kids by herself, and that she's been trying to hold the family together so things wouldn't get worse. Hearing that from a 14-year-old honestly broke me more than anything. Melinda spent the rest of the weekend trying to shift everything onto me. She posted vague things online about being betrayed by family. She sent me long paragraphs about how I set her up and how I wanted her to fail. She's now saying I should have canceled my trip and driven home the moment the kids showed up. Apparently that's her solution. I should have teleported back to fix her mess. I didn't respond to any of it. I told everyone the same thing once, and I'm not repeating myself. I said I wasn't hosting. I said I wasn't available, and I wasn't going to let 8 minors sit outside in the cold at night. I acted like any adult should. As of now, CPS has her on temporary supervised visitation while they continue investigating. They haven't finalized anything, but they made it clear in the report that this wasn't a misunderstanding. It was neglect, and everyone knows exactly who abandoned those kids in my backyard. My family is still blaming me, but I'm staying out of the arguments. I'm cooperating with CPS, and that's it. I'm not defending myself to people who already decided I'm the problem for not enabling the same pattern that's been happening for years. My next update will probably be coming sooner than I thought because things haven't calmed down even a little. Update 2. CPS has been involved for a few weeks now after I reported the kids being left in my backyard during Thanksgiving, and the scope of what's been happening is far worse than I realized. First, CPS contacted me directly for a detailed interview. They already knew this wasn't the first report against Melinda. Apparently, her older kids' schools had flagged chronic absences and signs of parentification years ago, but nothing ever came of it. When I explained the Thanksgiving incident and the repeated history of her dropping kids off without notice, they seemed concerned but not surprised. They said this fit a pattern they'd seen before, kids being expected to care for each other while the parent disappears. Meanwhile, Melinda has gone completely off the rails. She sent me what I can only describe as a 10-page Facebook-style rant where she detailed every perceived slight, then flooded my phone with threatening texts and voice notes. At one point, it was crying and pleading. The next, screaming about how I was trying to ruin her life. I haven't replied to a single one. I blocked her on everything because honestly, it was just escalating my stress, and I'm done engaging with her manipulation. Then Zoe opened up to me privately. I knew she had been under pressure for years, but I didn't realize how extreme it had gotten. She told me that sometimes Melinda would leave for entire weekends without warning. Once, Zoe had to call an Uber to get groceries because the younger kids literally had nothing to eat. Another time, one of the younger kids got a minor burn in the kitchen, and Melinda forced Zoe to lie to the ER nurse about what happened. Zoe admitted she had been carrying this guilt and fear for years and had quietly wished someone would finally stop her mother from abandoning them. I felt sick realizing how much responsibility had been unfairly dumped on her. Some family members are finally realizing what's going on. Zoe's father, who lives separately from Melinda, arrived at my house furious after finding out about the backyard incident. He's now threatening to file for full custody, and his extended family has been reaching out, thanking me for stepping in. I didn't ask for their thanks, but it's comforting to know someone outside Melinda's inner circle sees the reality. Of course, not everyone is on my side. My mom has gone completely nuclear. She keeps texting and calling, blaming me for destroying Thanksgiving traditions, driving a wedge between siblings, and embarrassing the family in the community. At one point, she told me I could have just driven home to watch the kids, like always, as if I was supposed to magically teleport from another state to babysit 8 children she refused to supervise. I told her directly, no, that was never going to happen again, and she refuses to acknowledge it. The younger kids have started talking to CPS too. One of them said something that broke me. Mommy said Auntie will always watch us because she doesn't have kids of her own. They believed I had some inherent obligation to care for them, and Melinda had been telling them I was angry when I couldn't. She's clearly been poisoning them against me for years. Hearing that made me more determined than ever that I had done the right thing by calling CPS. CPS has expanded the case to include neglect because of the repeated pattern. They pointed out that on Thanksgiving night, all 8 kids were left outside in the cold, unsupervised, with no adult to check on them, which violated basic safety standards. They also emphasized the history of abandonment and parentification. This isn't just a one-off, it's years of neglect. One of the younger kids even said something heartbreaking. Mommy said you were mad because you weren't special enough to bring us this year. I couldn't believe it. Melinda has been manipulating the kids to think I'm the villain if I say no or set boundaries, while she continues to vanish whenever it suits her. It's infuriating and devastating at the same time. So the entire family is now scrambling. Melinda is trying to spin this as me being vindictive, and a few relatives are quick to take her side. My mom, my aunt, and even one of my sisters are all screaming about how cold-hearted I am and how I shouldn't have called CPS on family. Meanwhile, other cousins and friends quietly acknowledge the truth, but they aren't speaking up publicly. It's a full-blown family war. At this point, I'm calmer, but also firmer than I've ever been. I told everyone repeatedly that I will not, under any circumstances, act as an unpaid, unconsenting babysitter for Melinda's children. I won't jeopardize their safety or my sanity anymore. CPS seems satisfied with my actions and is using the information to evaluate parental rights. The cliffhanger here is that CPS has hinted that Melinda's parental rights may be further restricted, and there's serious consideration for supervised visitation. The younger kids may be placed with their father temporarily, and the situation is escalating to legal action. Meanwhile, family members who are unhappy with me are still trying to spin this as my fault, which is exhausting. I just want to be clear. I didn't abandon the kids. I didn't cause harm. I called for help when they were left alone in the backyard in freezing weather. It's been emotionally draining to be vilified for doing the right thing, but I'm standing my ground. I don't know exactly what's coming next, but I'm preparing for a fight. The kids' well-being comes first, and I refuse to be bullied by my sister, my mother, or anyone else into pretending nothing has been happening for years. Update 3. Okay, so a lot has happened since my last post, and I need to get this out because the family drama has escalated beyond anything I imagined. CPS actually took temporary action, which has thrown Melinda's household into complete chaos. The 3 youngest kids, Ivy, 18 months, and the twins, Hazel and Holly, were placed in foster care for the night. Zoe and the rest of the kids stayed with their dad, which, honestly, is where they should have been a long time ago. This split basically set off a war in the family group chat and had people calling me non-stop, trying to pin the blame on me, even though I literally wasn't home when the kids were dumped in my backyard. Then Melinda completely lost it in person. She showed up at my driveway screaming, throwing a box of baby clothes onto my porch while yelling that I stole her life and ruined her Thanksgiving. My husband had to call the police again because she was borderline out of control, pacing around, threatening to expose me to everyone. I didn't answer the door, I refused to engage, and I didn't want to risk any confrontation escalating. The cops arrived, she calmed down enough to leave, but it was surreal. She was so unhinged in a way I've never seen before. The police actually ended up filing charges against Melinda for child abandonment over the Thanksgiving incident, violation of CPS directives, and disorderly conduct. I'm not exaggerating when I say that the neighbors were involved in watching this, and a few of them even told me later they couldn't believe she would behave like that in broad daylight. What's crazy is that her boyfriend dumped her after CPS interviewed him. He apparently didn't know she had been leaving the kids overnight at my house and thought they were either with our mom. He came by to apologize personally, which was awkward but honestly relieving. At least one adult finally seemed to see the truth. My mother tried one last-ditch manipulation. She organized some family meeting outside my house without permission, with half the extended family yelling at the front gate for 20 minutes. I didn't open the door. The neighbors were about to start filming because it was loud and ridiculous. I just stayed inside and let them vent. I refused to be baited into letting them pressure me into doing something unsafe or unnecessary. Meanwhile, Zoe privately confided something to me that broke my heart. She told me she once went to my mom asking for help, begging someone to step in and stop Melinda from leaving them alone. And my mom told her something along the lines of, "Your mother needs her freedom. Just be strong." Zoe admitted she used to cry herself to sleep over this every year. That hit me harder than I expected. For years she had been the third parent, responsible for the safety and well-being of all 8 kids, and no adult ever stood up for her. CPS formally cleared me of all accusations this week. They said I did everything correctly, acted in the kids' best interest, and that I was never legally responsible for the children. I followed protocol, reported the incident, and stayed away from the situation until the authorities arrived. That should have been the end of it, but instead, the family is in total meltdown. Now there's a court date set for custody and charges, which Melinda is panicking about. Family tensions have reached an all-time high. My mother is furious and still insists I overreacted, even after the kids were physically in danger. Aunt Clarissa has doubled down, claiming I humiliated Melinda in front of everyone, while my husband's side of the family has been fully supportive, telling me repeatedly that I did the right thing and that the kids are better off now. Honestly, I'm exhausted. I can't remember the last time I had a calm day. The kids are being cared for properly now. Zoe finally has some relief, and I feel like I can breathe a little. But seeing the chaos Melinda's actions caused and realizing how long this pattern of abandonment has been ongoing is terrifying. I keep thinking about the nights Zoe stayed awake trying to manage 8 kids alone and the repeated times she was the default parent. That should never have happened, so that's where things stand. CPS is involved. The children are safe for now. Melinda has lost custody temporarily and is facing charges, and the family is fractured worse than ever. I'm staying calm, staying out of drama, and keeping my husband and myself and my sanity first. Final update. So, a few weeks after the Thanksgiving incident, the court hearing finally happened. It was stressful as hell, but it ended up going exactly how it needed to go. Zoe's dad, Melinda's ex, was awarded full temporary custody of all the kids. The judge didn't hold back either, saying Melinda had shown a clear pattern of neglect and reckless endangerment. She's only allowed supervised visits now. On top of that, the judge ordered her to attend parenting classes, submit to random drug and alcohol testing, and undergo a psychological evaluation. Honestly, it felt surreal hearing all of that read out in court. Melinda's reaction was predictably explosive. She screamed, ranted, cried, tried to cry, manipulate the judge, the lawyers, anyone who would listen. Her perfect mom persona is gone. She also lost her boyfriend. He finally realized she had been leaving the kids overnight repeatedly without any adult supervision, and most of the family has started cutting ties or keeping their distance. She also lost her job shortly after, mostly because her social media bragging about being the Pinterest mom got mixed with news about the court case. My own family? Yeah, still fractured. My mom has completely stopped talking to me. She won't answer texts or calls. And every time someone brings up the case, she side-eyes me like I'm some kind of villain. Aunt Clarissa still calls me a traitor. Some cousins reached out privately to thank me, but publicly, not a word. And my sister Tara. She's awkwardly avoiding me, like I'm a ticking time bomb now. Zoe is living with her dad now, and she's finally getting a break from being forced into a parental role. She texted me the other day saying, "Thank you for finally stopping her." That hit me harder than I expected. Seeing her relieved, less stressed, more like a normal 14-year-old made every stressful, angry, guilty moment of that night worth it. The kids are in therapy now. The therapist explained that they'd built this belief that I chose to leave them out there, which was heartbreaking. But after talking through it and hearing what happened from CPS and the court, they finally understand the truth. They're safer, and at least some of the damage from years of being left alone is being addressed. As for me and my husband, we've agreed that we are not hosting holidays anymore, at least not until the kids are older or Melinda is completely removed from the picture. Thanksgiving is officially off limits for any family drama. We're keeping our distance from my mom too. It sucks, but I've realized that trying to maintain appearances for the sake of family unity just enables this behavior. I can't do it anymore. I won't lie, I feel some guilt. Part of me hates that it got to CPS, police, and court. But deep down, I know I did the right thing. I refused to enable Melinda's neglect any longer, and I stood up for the kids who had been suffering in silence for years. I'm still processing my own anger and frustration at my family, especially my mom, for always choosing appearances over the children's safety. Melinda has hit rock bottom, and it's brutal. She lost custody, her job, her boyfriend, most of her support network, and that perfect mother reputation she spent years curating. She even tried sending me a long apology email a few days ago. I haven't responded, and I won't. I don't owe her closure or forgiveness. She's the one who's been repeatedly unsafe and selfish with her kids. In the end, I have closure of sorts, but it's messy. I see Zoe on holidays now, but only when her dad invites me. I've built a closer, healthier relationship with her than I ever could when Melinda was in the picture. I finally feel like I'm able to be supportive without being a doormat or a backup parent for someone who refuses to parent.